and welcome to Opal&Mint. I am Ashley. I love everything watercolor and I am obsessed with watercolor flowers. So I thought today would be a good day to teach simple watercolor flowers. These are flowers I believe everybody can do, even if it takes a tiny bit of practice, but honestly, they're so simple. So I do want to note, I am sleep deprived. I'm like in my husband's baggy t-shirt and my hair's in a bun. I'm like in full mommy tired mode. So if I can't get my words out today, I am so sorry. But we're gonna go through and paint 4 different flowers. I'm gonna teach you how to paint all 4 of those flowers in 2 slightly different ways. The tulip looks about the same, but basically I just sat down, I just finished painting the flowers, but I just sat down and started painting them. I didn't really have a plan of even which flowers I was going to do. So we kind of go through the process of picking some flowers and just figuring out how to paint them as simply as possible. So I'm hoping that in this video you can paint along with me. So grab your paper, grab your brushes, grab some paints that you find pretty and aesthetically pleasing to you, and let's paint some flowers. I do want to talk about what I am using, just so you know. I am using the cheapest watercolor paper that I can find. It is the Five Below paper spiral thing, so you don't need expensive paper for this. We're just practicing, and the brush I'm using is a number 8 Master's Touch round. Also, very inexpensive brush. I am using a bunch of random different paints. Most of them are expensive paints, but you don't need expensive paints. That's just what I've got right here. So I'm not gonna talk anymore. Let's go ahead and get to painting some flowers. I'm gonna start with the flower that I believe is the simplest flower to paint. You can paint it the most loosely and it look like a flower. I hope that makes sense. So that is the tulip. So that's what we're gonna start with. So I originally was going to paint these ahead of time and figure out how I'm gonna paint them and then come on here and paint them again. But when I started this channel, I said that I wanted to show all of the fails and successes. So if I fail at a flower, I'm gonna show that. We may end up painting 2 or 3 tulips, we shall see, but I'm going to show you simple flowers to paint in watercolor. So, or flowers to paint simply in watercolor. I don't know which, but we're gonna start with the tulip. So tulip is basically like, especially one that's not open. So like a more closed up tulip is just kind of like a U shape. With a couple of petals. So that's what we're gonna do. I've painted many of them before. So this flower, like I said, it's so simple. I'm not really gonna be focusing on the exact paints I'm using today because I'm using a bunch of random paints that are mixed together. So like this mixture of paint, I don't even know what it is. So when I start painting, I just kind of grab colors from all of my palettes. So step 1, tulip. We're going to do a petal on this side. Look how pretty. Also, I do want to note I am using the Five Below paper, so I'm using inexpensive paper. You can totally practice on this, and I actually encourage it. Look at, do you see that? That was just too, I should probably zoom in a little bit. And turn off the autofocus. So just 1 petal there, 1 petal there, and then I normally like to go along the back and do that. And that is a tulip. And as soon as you put a little bit of a green, I like to do this while it's still wet. I don't have much green here, but let's see. So that it blends a little bit into the flower. And do just a little stem. And they have a long leaf. Such a beautiful, simple, oh, sorry, I'm shifting in my chair. Simple, easy flower. Like, that's beautiful. I feel like I want to do another tulip though. So let's do it again. I hope that you're painting along with me. I may title this video something along the lines of paint with me because I want you to be painting along today. And let's see here. What other color of tulip do I want? Oh, this is another pink color, but it's one of my favorite Winsor & Newton paints. I don't have a ton of Winsor & Newton because I went the Daniel Smith route, but this is Rose Doré, I think is how you say it, but I'm gonna get some of that And we're just gonna do kind of the same thing. I'm gonna start on the right side this time. So kind of curving that out and then go in there. I'm leaving a little bit of white space and then putting some petals back there. Wipe that off. And then I'm gonna get this. This is Terra Verte, I think, from Winsor & Newton as well. So that, and just do 2 of those. Beautiful. So simplest possible flower you can do. Just plop a couple of petals down and you have a flower. So simple. So tulips are one of my go-tos for teaching simple flowers. And if you want to do these with some more detail, let them dry and add in some details. We might actually do that with this one. After it dries, we may come back so you can refine that shape a little bit, but we're kind of focusing on loose florals today, just simple, easy flowers. Okay, the next one, let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's look at the anemone flower, because I honestly love this flower. And I really love like the pastel colors that they can be, but they have that really iconic black center and then just fluffy leaves coming, not leaves, sorry, petals coming out of that. So, oh, look at that one. Just stunning. So let's do, I'm gonna try and do a white anemone. That looked like the center was like a deep navy and the petals were white. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's find, I'm gonna take a little bit of leftover paint I have here. It looks like it was a purple, a grayish purple. So, okay, let's write the name of the flower first. Let's do an anemone. Okay, there's a couple of different ways that we can do this one. We can do the petals first, or we can do the center first. I'm gonna do a petals first approach first. So I'm just gonna take the brush and kind of wiggle it out. And this first little layer, I want to be very watered down paint. I want it to be very, very light. Kind of wiggle that brush around like you have a center. Kind of make it fluffy. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of, I need to hurry while that's still wet. Take a little bit of this really, really rich blue. And I'm going to tap just a little bit of this. Ooh, that one exploded a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's pretty though. Let's contain you just a smidge. So I'm going to deepen up this center after that's dry, but that is our first layer of our anemone flower. So cute. Okay, let's look at a different color of an anemone. And this time we're gonna do the black center first. I like the ones that kind of fade out. Those are really pretty. So we're gonna try and do one like that. So for this one, I do want to start with the center. So I'm gonna take this carbon black and I'm gonna take and just do a rough circle with that. And then I'm gonna get a less water, more pigment on the brush from there. And I'm going to do little black dots kind of around that center, and I don't want them to be too like perfectly lined up. And then try and get this brush to a fine point, and I'm going to do just a few little curved lines coming out of it. I don't want too many, but just so we have some coming out of that. Okay, so we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to do the petals around that one as well. So our tulip is still wet. No, then we'll let that dry naturally. Okay, these are also wet, so I'm gonna let these dry. My food, I think my food's done in the kitchen, so I'm gonna eat my pizza real quick, and then we're gonna add on the next layers of these 2 flowers, 4 flowers, but 2 types of flowers, and then we'll go on to daisies and roses. I think actually we're gonna go with this one first. And I want beautiful, rich rose color. So gonna go to my Daniel Smith palette, and I'm gonna take, I think this is quinacridone rose. And I feel like I want it to be a little bit even more like rich. Take a tiny bit of this. I don't remember what the purple name was. Oh yeah, there it is. That's the color I want. Okay, so, quite a bit of pigment on my brush. Now this can be done, several different ways, but I'm gonna start by kind of mapping out the shape of the petal, kind of wiggling that up there. And then I'm gonna take a clean brush, and I'm just going to get this clean water kind of down to this edge. Lift a little bit. Whoops. See, I'm gonna show you my fails too. Okay, there's a petal. Let's try another way. Okay, so this time I'm going to start with just water, and I'm going to basically do the same thing. Paint the leaf. Petal. Why do I keep saying leaf? It's a petal. And then I'm just going to drop some water. It's so pretty. I love watching the color move. That's pretty. So this one would be like a little bit more unpredictable spread. There's a lot more water on it, but I don't hate it. I kind of like the way that looks. I kind of want to mess with it, but I kind of don't. And as I mess with it. Okay, so I'm going to do some more of these. Let's go ahead. This has, whoops, there's a drop of pink water. A little bit of pink in it so I can see where I'm placing that petal. And I'm going to take my color. Beautiful. I got really quiet. Sorry. Sometimes when I'm painting, I just kind of turn my brain off. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be talking. But this is a way that you can kind of play with your petal shapes a little bit if you want. There are some flowers that I do where I just place the shape and it's there. But this one, if you feel more comfortable kind of playing around with the shape of the petal, having more water on the page will definitely help with that because you have more time before it's dry. And you can wiggle your brush with the point out too. There's no like wrong way to paint. There's no wrong way to paint. Some people may say that, and I'm sure there's a way that makes it more difficult maybe, but there's no wrong way. If it's working for you, I almost forgot, like for a second I thought I didn't have the camera recording. That would be a wrong way to film. But there's not really a wrong way to paint. Right, get one more. This one's gonna kind of go behind that one because the anemone is actually kind of layered, and so I may put one here too. And I probably should do this after the other ones are dry, but again, this is meant to be kind of loose. And we're just playing. It's really, really pretty. Okay, let me do one more petal. Kind of, see, let's wiggle that there. So this might not be the most perfect flower I've ever done. But again, we're just playing, we're having fun. And I think when it dries, it'll probably be really pretty. I mean, it's not ugly right now. I feel like I need one there too. Just keep adding. And honestly, I would normally wait till those are dry to add this next layer, but I kind of like the loose look of this anyways. So, okay. All right, I'm going to leave that one alone now. Let that dry. It's actually really beautiful. Okay, we're gonna go to this anemone now, and I'm gonna take that really deep blue that I was using, but get more concentrated. This is an ocean paper paint. And I'm gonna get, oh, look how beautiful and inky that color is. Now I'm gonna take, this flower is slightly angled because the side's shorter. So I'm gonna have the dots a little further away on this side and then closer on this side to give that illusion of it being angled. I got a little too many and those are a little thick, but that's okay. I'm just gonna do a couple of little lines coming out. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Now for this one, I want to add a little bit more detail to the petals themselves. And again, there's so many different styles of watercolor, so many different ways you can paint even a single flower. I think I might actually do a video taking one flower and painting it so many different ways. But for now, let's stick with what we're doing. And I'm going to take that same color that I had just on this palette, and I'm going to just kind of define, move this, define these petals just a little bit more. Remember to try to keep your strokes curved with the shape of that petal to give it that three-dimensional look. Okay, so there are two versions of an anemone. And we're gonna go back to this tulip now that it's dry, and I'm just gonna take this same color, and it's very watery. Wipe the brush off several times on the side, and I'm gonna do the same kind of concept. I'm just gonna add a couple of little, wow, there was like no pigment there. I need some more color. A couple of little lines just to define those petals. So there are the tulips and the anemones. Next, we're gonna go to daisies, because daisy is my favorite, my personal favorite flower. And to me, they are very easy to paint. Now, you have to, hold on a second. You have to be familiar with the brush stroke that I teach in my Watercolor 101 class. And I don't think it's that hard to master. I do think it takes a little bit of practice, but I'm gonna do the stroke right now just so you can see it if you haven't watched that video. So you're gonna start with the tip of your brush, push the belly of your brush and then end up with the tip of your brush. So you're gonna hold your brush fairly vertical, and then you're gonna do tip, press to the belly, and then release to the tip. So you have a perfect little daisy petal shape. This could be a leaf shape, but it could also be a daisy. I actually love this purple, a daisy petal shape. So we're gonna do, I guess we'll keep going with the theme of doing 2 of each kind of flower. And I kind of want to do this lavendery daisy. So for this one, I'm going to start with a yellow center. So let me grab some, since this is a muted purple, I'm going to go with a muted yellow. Well, that's really kind of dirty, isn't it? Hold on. There we go. That had some other colors on top of that. I've used this yellow a lot. Okay, so I have a cute little tiny little, wow, I said little twice, I'm so sorry. Little round circle here. Circles are round, wow. Okay, and then basically you're gonna do that all the way around it. That's all. It's so easy. Okay, so you're gonna start with the tip, barely touching that circle, push the belly, and then lift through the tip. And just do that all the way around. And you can make some of them a little wonky looking. Well, they're getting shorter. You can make some of them like twist a little. Keeping in mind, most natural flowers don't look perfect and symmetrical, and the petals don't all face the exact same way. So keep that in mind when you're painting your flowers. You don't have to be exact. It's like that one's more blunt. That's okay. Okay. Do you see why I think that's the simplest flower that there is? And for the leaves on these flowers, or yeah, the leaves and the stem. So we're gonna take the stem coming down from the center, just doing that. And these are kind of like jagged leaves. So I just like pull a few like brush strokes from the center and you have little leaves. So super easy. Oh, here's another way of doing a daisy. So there's several different types of daisies also, but this one's a little bit more like, you know, facing you head on. We're gonna do one, let me clean out my yellow here. We're gonna do one that is kind of facing a different direction and kind of has a little bit of a dome for the center. So like black-eyed Susans are like this. So there's different types of daisies that have a little bit more of a dome, or like if they're not all the way bloomed, or is that when they are all the way bloomed, the petals go down. One or the other. Okay, I think I want to take this beautiful shade from Daniel Smith. This is one of my favorites. And unfortunately, these are all pans and I don't have the tubes of those. I'm gonna have to replace my cadmium yellow medium because I use it a lot. Okay, but this is lavender from Daniel Smith, which looks like periwinkle to me, but okay. And since oh my gosh, I just love that color so much. And you see how this shape, it's like, it just looks like a daisy petal, because it's a daisy petal. And so these would be like a droopy daisy, you know what I mean? And if you need to turn your page while you're doing your petals, by all means turn your page. So I'm gonna do one more. I've been trying to practice where I don't, oh my gosh, it's so cute, where I don't turn my page. But there's nothing wrong with turning your page to get a better angle at your work. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of this green and we're gonna do the same thing. Just gonna do a little spiky leaf just like that. Oh, it's so cute. I think it got lighter outside, so this got brighter, but okay. So there are my daisies, my anemones, and my tulips. I hope that you're loving this. They're so much fun. This color combination for me, I like need to write down those colors because that's so pretty. Okay, so those are the daisies. Last up is roses. And I've been practicing roses for a while. Here's my burnt pizza, by the way. Practicing roses a bunch of different ways for a while. And honestly, my roses don't always turn out. So this one will be the most interesting. So these could look beautiful or really not. But I want to do a yellow rose. So I'm going to take my favorite yellow of all time, my cadmium yellow medium. Okay, so the way that I go about doing just a typical loose watercolor rose is I have quite a bit of pigment on my brush. I'm going to take it and I'm just going to do little curves going around the center right there. Now I'm going to wipe off some of this. I just tapped it on my paper towel, and then I'm going to take a little bit bigger of strokes going around the little ones. Now I'm going to dip my brush in my water and then wipe off the edge. So I'm getting a little bit of pigment off of the brush. So as I'm going out, I'm going to have a lighter and lighter wash of that color. So I'm not going back in with pigment right now. I'm just getting water on my brush and kind of doing just little, kind of wavy lines around the center. So normally what I will do now is, after I've kind of done my looser colors toward the edge, I get that richer pigment on again, tap a little bit off, and then I'll go at the beginning of each of those petals. Now this paper is cheaper and it's already drying, so I may have to blend some of this out a little bit more than I normally would. But if you go at the base of those petals, they will blend out and look like a shadow, kind of further defining those petals. So these two right here look like they're already dry, so I'm taking a clean, damp brush and I'm just blending out the edge of that line. So there is rose number 1. I think it turned out okay. And normally the leaves that I do with these flowers, let's see, what color do I want to do? I do like a wide kind of pointed leaf. So that's what I would do with that little yellow rose. Here's a little extra bonus tip. This is pretty wet, so I'm curious to see how this will do. But if you take the end of your brush, the handle of your brush, and you draw a line in it, and then I'm going to do like a couple of little veining and let that dry. We'll see how that one ended up doing. This is a granulating color, so it might actually do it even more so than normal. So, okay, so this is a beautiful fluffy yellow rose, and I actually really like it. I haven't done any like flower buds yet, but I actually think I want to do one for the rose. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna take some red in that yellow. So we're gonna have like I want to do a peachy color. So I'm going to get a little bit of my pink, a little bit more cad yellow. Oh, it's mixing with some other colors that are already on there. So let me get this wisteria color. Here, let's blend it into here. Kind of got it a little muddy. Okay. Well, it's just orange, but that's okay. Okay, so for my little rosebud, all I'm gonna do is, wow, that is a really ugly color. That's okay. I'm literally just doing like a little shape like that. And then tap a little bit of green at the base of it. And then you have a little bud. So you can use these to like fill out your bouquets and stuff, have different little flower buds. But so there's a rose bud and a rose. It wasn't like 2 full roses. But there are my 4 simple flowers. If you did paint along with me, I would love to see what you did. And if you can, tag me on Instagram, or tag us on Instagram, Opal&Mint. And yeah, I would love to see your flowers. But that is gonna be it for this watercolor tutorial. Please let me know what other tutorials you would like to see. If you do wanna see me paint a single type of flower in like 5 to 10 different ways, let me know. And also let me know what kind of flower. But I've really been enjoying doing flowers, not just in one style, like painting in so many different ways. I like experimenting and playing, so let me know what you want to see. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you did enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you want to see our future videos, hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's dive into some painting. I want to make sure I spell this right. So I'm going to pull this up on my phone. Don't judge too harshly. A-N-E-M-O-N-E. Is that right? Anemone. Anemone.